what they have that's most attractive to me is in players. They have Milwaukee's picks. If I'm getting something from New Orleans, it's Milwaukee's picks, and then I'm redirecting them with Cat for Giannis. And I don't think any of that is realistic, but that to me is the most valuable asset that New Orleans has.
Let's get to Angel's comment actually, because he says something interesting here. How about New Orleans' fire sale? What's possible with that? I don't know if it's going to be a fire sale, but I mean, they might have to. I would, by the way, if I'm New Orleans.
Can I tell you where I would consider New Orleans in the context of what the Knicks should do?
Yeah, as I pull up their cap.
Well, I don't even know if you have to go that far. It's very simple. What they have that's most attractive to me is in players. They have Milwaukee's picks. If I'm getting something from New Orleans, it's Milwaukee's picks, and then I'm redirecting them with Cat for Giannis. And I don't think any of that is realistic, but that to me is the most valuable asset that New Orleans has.
All right. You've teed me up for the end. Should the Knicks enter the Giannis sweepstakes?
I mean, they should. Whether they'll win it is a different conversation. Like, you can sign up for the contest that they're in the mall and see if yes, I'd love to enter to win a free car. You might email and put me on a mailing list that I'll never get off for the rest of my life. Sure, but the chance is a free car. And in this case, you can enter and call Milwaukee and say, hey,
I hate those so
they're
much.
the worst, man.
Understand.
I keep getting these things in the mail, and it's like, damn, I shouldn't have signed up for that thing.
Exactly.
It's the very definition of 2025 frustration.
Let me also mention before.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right before you go, just for context on this, teams that people think will be involved in Giannis, and there will be a lot. If still if he hasn't said anything yet, don't know yet. The Nets, who are in the same city, have 31 draft picks over the next 7 years. Half of them in the first round, I think 15. So they could, as Brian Lewis from the Post, who I work with, pointed out, they could trade 8 first-round picks and be pick neutral going forward. Yeah. And that's sort of the attraction there for Milwaukee. And Giannis loves New York, he says. New York has multiple businesses there, has a home there. A lot of NBA players love hanging out there, obviously. Obviously, large Greek and large Nigerian community. So things in the Knicks and Nets' favor. For the Nets, it's like they have the clean slate and all the picks. And with the Knicks, they don't have as many picks as before, but they do have like an easy route to salary, which makes McHale interesting because is it going to be like Cav, going to be McHale, G, whatever. Other teams, Raptors, I guess you got to include the Lakers because they
got Luka. Like they can. The funny thing is the salary in a Lakers Giannis trade is LeBron, which would blow my mind. Would just blow my mind if like LeBron got traded for Giannis.
And from there, it's kind of murky.
San Antonio's the big one. San Antonio's the big one to me.
The Heat and the Spurs also. The Heat, I think, are unlikely, but Bam and Giannis do share an agent. And they have a financial way to get there. Just is not as many draft picks, though they have more than they used to. And the Spurs, obviously, because, well, the Spurs can't just get everyone at this point. Okay, so you think the Knicks should enter
They should enter it.
With what?
What's available? Like the Karl-Anthony Towns contract,
Oh, you're like all in. You're like everyone, but you're like anyone but Brunson, basically.
Basically, yeah. Like that's if you're entering the sweepstakes, you don't say there are guys off limits. I've heard the conversations out there that Brunson shouldn't even be off limits. I think those are the dumbest conversations to potentially have.
I heard
like you don't put your team's captain, because then what's the point of watching sports? Like you don't name a guy a captain and then the following year trade him. I don't care who it's for. Like if you gave me prime LeBron, then I'd get over it. But Giannis is going to be 30. And I've now developed an attachment as a fan to Jalen Brunson. 30. What's up?
Is 30.
He just got older, folks. Like
he's going to be 31 in December.
I am of the belief that if you're entering the Giannis sweepstakes, you put all your cards on the table, especially, and this is why I think they'll lose any Giannis sweepstakes. other teams can make better offers. I'm staring at San Antonio with the number 2 pick in the draft with the reigning rookie of the year and a ton of draft capital. And you can just say to Milwaukee, here's a bunch of picks. Here's your backcourt for the next 10 years that you can sell to your fan base. You can now reset while you wait for all of your picks that went to New Orleans. Like wait for those things to expire, but now at least you're building something. And you're not like, you don't need, I'm not gonna say you don't necessarily need draft picks, but if what you get is like Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle to build around, then yeah, that's something that you can look at and say to your fan base, look, Giannis is gone. We're going to look to move Dame as well. But here's the next decade in Milwaukee Bucks sports. And it's built around these two guys and the assets we got in the trade. You know, it's very similar to the Nets going and doing the deal with the Celtics, and the Celtics being like, hey, that Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett era, that was fun. It's unfortunately over, but here's all the assets we got. We're going to use it to rebuild, and it turns into Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. That's how Milwaukee could potentially walk away from a Giannis trade, and I don't think the Knicks can give them that.
But you're saying if it's a sweepstakes, if this becomes a situation where Giannis is like, send me to New York,
that's the only way I think he gets to New York. I'll say is that he like demands send me to New York. I also think he's a competitor.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's gonna do
like
that.
I don't know if he wants to go spend the next 3 years in Brooklyn. No disrespect to Brooklyn, but like you're not. It's not even like a little brother thing that I'm trying to say. You're not
But he
close.
has to be there with somebody.
You're not. You weren't even a playing team last year, and they don't have any assets like Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper or the number 2 pick in the draft. The Knicks at least could give Giannis the stability of you just made the conference finals last year. Come make us better. And the Bucks would then be in this kind of the same situation they're in. Damn, we have to figure out how to pay Cat, and
that's the issue.
You know,
with Milwaukee,
so
it's like I don't
like we're gonna just be a 5 seed. Like we're gonna trading Giannis to be a 5 seed. Whereas if they make the trade with San Antonio, that's a reset. You can sell that to your fan base. Hope is a very easy thing to sell with young players. We've seen it in New York for years. Shout out to RJ Barry.
God. Frank Ntilikina,
dude,
Kevin Knox.
I'm not even going that level of clear busts that people hung on to for too long. I'm saying
they were clear busts for everybody.
So like the good to okay NBA starters, like the Quickleys, the Quentin Grimes, the RJ Barretts that everybody thought had all-star and superstar potential that went elsewhere, and then we saw what like all-stars and superstars looked like, right?
Yeah.
And then like it's those levels of guys. You could sell that hope that Stephon Castle is a multi-time all-star. Dylan Harper was the 2nd pick in the draft. You might have the next Jalen Brunson or Cade Cunningham. Like you can sell that to your fan base as well as the draft capital you get back as a pivot from one of the 25 greatest players ever in Giannis. So that I think is an easier sell, which I think you have to consider. And to your point about the aprons, like we're also going to get under the tax. We're also going to be very young and cheap while we, let New Orleans draft our draft capital with our picks for the next couple of years. So I think other teams will beat the Knicks' best offer in a Giannis sweepstakes. And that's where I am with that.
I agree. I think they need the scales tilted in their favor, which look, if you're a contender in a big market, you can get that tilted in your favor. In New York City. We're going to wrap here, take a couple comments. Danny says, Josh Hart is Russell Westbrook with 0 accountability. You can't hold others accountable if you refuse to hold him accountable.
Danny, I agree with that. Like, I do agree with, like, Josh Hart needs to be held as accountable as everybody else on the roster. I don't disagree with that.
We also held them accountable here. We talked about how
we did
the
head coach.
But I know. Yeah, I know
he's alluding to,
Yeah. I think that's fair. Angel agrees, says Kelly is beyond cooked. He also says a bunch of Tibbs players are on the Pelicans roster. Herb Jones is an interesting name. I wonder if they'd be open to floating him around, but he's going to have a sweepstakes if that's the case. He says he can sign up for a Timothy Chalamet Lecolette contest, which I thought was pretty funny.